I'm joined in studio now with the Mayor of Burlington, Marianne Neatward. Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Great to be here.
And now you've had quite the busy week, lots of things on the table right now. And first off, why don't we talk about what's happening tonight? I know you're having a bit of a discussion regarding will or will not Burlington have a cannabis store or allow that to kind of be opened up?
All municipalities in Ontario have to make a decision by January 22nd, 2019 about whether we're going to allow retail cannabis stores in our boundaries or not. I committed during the election, I'm still committed to allowing them. We are having a public consultation this evening. There's also an online survey for people who can't make it tonight. Okay. It's 7 o'clock at the Burlington Performing Arts Center, and really that's an opportunity to hear from our community about are they in or out. What I heard through the campaign was that people did want retail stores, but I think we really want to hear from the community about any concerns, making sure that we mitigate any impacts, and we can comment on where retail stores locate. We can't control that, but we can certainly comment. So we want to hear from the public about any and all of their concerns and feedback related to this issue.
And directly, what do you think are some of the positives behind allowing Burlington to open up that storefront kind of approach?
Well, I see it like alcohol, right? We allow it. It's recreational uses. We have to regulate it and control it, make sure it's not in the hands of minors. We can do that better, I think, if it's legal and we allow it within our boundaries. Residents shouldn't have to go to Hamilton or Mississauga or Toronto to get a legal product. Mm-hmm. We help to eliminate the black market. We actually heard from a number of cannabis providers. 3 of them came to committee this week and said each outlet could employ anywhere from 10 to 15 people. So there's jobs, it's an economic driver potentially, and there is money for municipalities to help with enforcement on things like smoking if we opt in now. If we opt out and in later, we don't get that funding.
Awesome. And now another item that has been a hot topic, especially during the campaign, was all about the official plan. Now, you had some discussions at Region, so why don't you give us an update on that now?
That's great. I hinted at it in my inauguration speech on December 3rd that I would have some very good news that week, and the good news was that the Region has pushed pause on our official plan. They have found some areas of nonconformity and things that concern them, but the pushing pause allows us as a council to make any additional changes that we want, including to the downtown, and there's no time limit. So if that hadn't occurred, Region would have had to approve our plan by December 8, which was last Saturday.
Right.
Or we could have been exposed to an appeal. So the Region's pushed pause on the plan, and we now can make any additional changes and take the time that we need to consult with the community and get it right.
And I mean, that's just kind of what you've been discussing this whole kind of time. I mean, since you decided to run, was talking about how you wanted to make those changes, and now you are looking for feedback from the community as well, and from your fellow councillors, right?
Absolutely. So in January we will get an update from staff about what kind of timeline and process we should be embarking upon in 2019 to look at what needs to be changed, what does the community want to have a conversation about, and how can we kind of tee that up for the coming year. It'll take some months to go through that process, and we'll have a better idea in January. But the great news is that the community spoke for change, said this official plan does not reflect our vision, and now we have an opportunity to change it and make sure that the community's vision is reflected in that plan, and then send it back to the Region for final approval.
Right. And now, speaking of growth, there was some updates this week from our Ontario Party discussing Bill 66. Now, I know that there's quite a bit of controversies around that because Greenbelt, and that's affecting us right here in Oakville and Burlington as well as Milton. So why don't you give us an update onto Burlington's side of things and how you're going to push forward with Bill 66?
So the bill is called the Open for Business Act, and what it does is allow municipalities to pass a bylaw and ask the province to set aside a whole range of legislation, the goal of which, according to the Premier, is to speed approvals for business. The problem is that included in the legislation that municipalities can set aside is the Greenbelt Act. Half of our land in Burlington is Greenbelt, and a good portion of Oakville for sure, Milton, Halton Hills has some Greenbelt. It would allow us to set aside the Clean Water Act, which was put in place to protect residents. It would allow us to set aside Section 37 benefits, which give us extra things for the community when major development applications are going through. So, we cannot compromise our residents' safety and health. That legislation was put in place to protect our residents, to protect our green space. We are not going to be exercising any of the powers in Bill 66. We'll be asking the province to remove, most of the bill, but certainly the parts that deal with human life, health, safety, and quality of life. Yeah. So we're not going to be exercising that. And previous councils have been very clear. It's in our strategic plan that the last council passed that we will not expand our urban boundary. We will not build into the Greenbelt. I've looked at some of the comments that my own colleagues have made after the new council, after this came through. They're not on for it either. So we will have a formal statement in January that we'll send to the province about our position on Bill 66, but we've already said we're not touching our Greenbelt. We're just not.
Okay, great. So there's your update, Burlington, as well as Oakville and Halton. And for more information and to check out what's happening in Burlington, you can head to their website, burlington.ca. Thank you.
Thank you.